all for joining in and hanging out here on These Are the Times YouTube with myself, Erica Perrott. And today, yep, you guessed it, it is time for another Illuminate. And Uncle Tim comes to hang out, and we are going to talk about our top 10 things that we feel all humans need to stop doing now. Again, it's opinion. Most of it based on fact, out of circumstances and situations we have ourselves been through, maybe personally or with someone that we personally are a link to. So, hope you enjoy. We're going to sit back and dish into the top 10 things we as humans need to stop doing on the ASAP. And for those of you that have been tuning into Illuminate for some time, when it was first on WCRO and, now migrating over here on YouTube full time, I never had chapters. Well, it's not necessarily a chapter, but if you check out the descriptions below in any of my videos from probably about the last 2 weeks up until now and foregoing, they will have timestamps. And on the conspiracy realist side, well, the timestamps usually have links attached to them with what we were talking about within that time segment. So for those of you all who are pressed for time, well, there you go. Go look in the descriptions. Timestamps are there. And for those of you who enjoy watching the entire thing and have that time, we love and appreciate you. But no matter what, as always, I hope you find some type of nugget that helps aid in your life journey and making it easier. What's going on, Unc? It is so good to see you today.
Hey, it's a new day. Every day's brand new.
Amen.
Every day's brand new. Start over every day.
I love it. Start fresh start. Each day should start that way. So, are you as excited as I am about today's topic?
Oh yeah, these 10 things are gonna be good. We got 3. We got 10 today.
We have 10, 5 each, and a lot of them, like most everything in life, overlap in some way. But we're going to talk about 10 things that humans in general would do really good if they could stop now. I mean, I don't really know any other way to say it.
Just
Do you?
stop it.
Yeah.
No, just stop it. And when it comes up from other people, go, stop right there. I don't want to do that because it upsets my spirit and I don't want to be part of that right now.
Sometimes we just have to be the period in the bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's not waste time. Let's go ahead and jump in. I will let you go first. What is your...
Okay, my first one?
Yep.
My first one is stop asking for permission. And what I mean by that is, don't seek advice to do what you want to do for yourself from people who have no skin in the game. They don't have to suffer any of the repercussions. So whatever they tell you really doesn't matter because they're just telling you their idea of it. And you're the one who has to make the decision. Stop asking, because what you're really doing, you want someone to agree with you that it's okay. You have to be strong enough within yourself to say, this is what I want.
Amen. Someone actually, we were talking about this not too long ago, and I was like, every time you go outside of yourself and talk about a situation that's going on in your life, you are basically asking for permission because you already know what you're going to do. You already know what you're going to do in the situation, but it's almost as if you're seeking approval. You're taking a poll per se to see who's still going to accept you in your little core group or major friendship groups or whatever it is you're trying to weigh out there. But you already know what you're going to do. But furthermore, you're afraid. Furthermore, you know what you need to do. So by taking time to even have those conversations, I feel you're wasting time in getting to your end result, no matter what it may be. And in that time that you're wasting, what else is coming up that may not have presented itself?
And you're also giving people who are not really supportive of you information that they can use against you, whether they realize it or not. They're going to tell you all the reasons why you shouldn't do that. They're going to tell you how hard it's going to be. And you're already there. They're not willing to do what it needs to do to get there. They're not doing it. You've already decided to take the risk, to do the work, to be involved, and because that's where you want to go.
Yep, you're right. I mean, I know in my own personal life, friends that who were supportive but operate out of fear. Which it's funny. uh, they would say things to me like, "Oh, girl, I mean, I know it's a great thing, the salon, but I just can't see. Yeah, you can't see you. I'm not you. So I need you to take your fear and just because
Mm-hmm.
you can go talk about it with somebody else. Because I don't operate out of fear. I never have. I operate out of logic. Yes, it is scary because it's a risk. It's a risk of some sort. But everything in life is a risk, be it love, be it a job choice. Everything has some sort of risk to it. But operating out of fear, that's one of mine. That that is mine. We'll go ahead and knock it off now. we have we have got to stop responding out of fear. It's fear is an emotion, and most of the time a false one, because it's based on a hope or a dream of something that may or may not happen.
It's also usually the biggest part of that is usually fear of rejection. Somebody's going to
Oh,
reject your ideas. Somebody's going to say, "Oh, well, no, I'm not going to help you with that," or "We're not going to give you a loan," or "You can't. That's impossible for you." People have tried that before. Well, that's them. So,
exactly.
you know, and there are some things, like when I was young, things I would be to a kid. We were told things like, as a black boy, you can be friends with white girls, but don't hold their hands because they're in trouble. And that's a real fear for them because when they grew up in that time, it was serious. Emmett Till, everything, what they've experienced, it's a real fear. So,
Hmm.
but we have a way of projecting those fears and attitudes down through generations if they're not challenged.
Very good point. And we challenge them by being that period. We have to be able to have a strong enough voice to vocally say, no, that's a you thing. Let me go try it and see. It might not have the same effect for me. You know, when I was married, my stepson loved dirt bikes. And he lived like we had the perfect property between where we lived and one of his grandparents. It was nothing but riding for days. So one year we bought him a dirt bike. Oh my God. My mother in law, you would have thought we bought him stuff to make Molotov cocktails, and was driving him around to set him off. But it was a dirt bike, and I mean, she freaked out and it was like a 2 week ordeal conversation. And finally, I ended it in person. I went to her house and I looked at her and I said, "Listen," I was like, would you go overseas? I forget the example I used. I was like, but would you go overseas to Haiti? I think it was like Haiti or something. I was like, and do mission work? God, no. I was like, exactly, but I would. I was like, now, would you get in a hot air balloon? Probably not. I would. Would you jump out of an airplane? No. But see, I would. So the things that scare you are the things that excite me. How do you think that goes for Hunter? She was just like, well, I was like, you've got to let him create his own fears and inhibitions and what does and doesn't work for him. Your limits can't be his limits because he's not you. Let
And
him grow
also,
up.
isn't it better for him to ride in the space where he's between us so he's close to people than going over a friend's house and doing it? Because he's going to do it.
Exactly. And I mean, let's be real. Boys will be boys. And, Hunter was always, and still is, a very responsible individual, has a great head on his shoulders. He's a great father husband now, and I'm just like, he's still a child and he's still a male. And the
Yeah,
saying
but
does hold true. Boys will be boys. So What we
Things
tell him,
happen. You have to let things happen to kids.
and
I
you have to
mean, I
guide
did
them through it.
things. I jumped off a short roof at the school trying to be the $6 million man and tucked and rolled in the grass. If Granny seen me, she'd have killed me. You
Right?
know, on my bicycle. I can't tell you the times riding around the school on my bicycle, I slid or did something stupid and hit my head on the metal rail and had ringing in my ears for 2 days, but I didn't tell anybody.
Tim, listen,
But I survived.
I knocked a tooth out of my head because of a bicycle wreck. I mean, and it was all because I was being a kid and doing something stupid because somebody triple dog dared me. I mean, kids
Mm-hmm.
will be kids, but that's how you learn. Because I tell you
Mm-hmm.
what, I never rode my bicycle with my eyes closed again. No one, I didn't even need to have my butt busted over tearing
Right.
things up unnecessarily, or I did it to myself. I busted my face up. I
Mm-hmm.
created lots of pain and suffering, and I learned, well, we won't be doing that again.
Yeah, but you also learn when you do that you can survive stuff. Everything is not the end of the world.
Very great point there. You're right.
Now, really great movie the other day. It's on PBS. It's called The Man in the Orange Shirt. It's on Masterpiece Theater, and
Okay.
it's two love stories in one, but it's a continual story. So back in World War II, this young woman married this man. They had been best friends and fell in love, and she found out that he also had an affair with this guy while they were in the service, and she stayed married to him, and she didn't want to discuss it. They had a son, you know, grew up, went on with that. He eventually died, and she ended up raising the grandson. So now the grandson is going through school and everything. He's living in her basement. They're really close. He's 34 years old. So he's on these dating apps. He's not really connecting with anybody. He's, doing that in the shadow stuff because of shame. And the shame is, even though your parents don't have to tell you how they feel about things, you know how they feel about certain things because you listen to what they discuss with other people. So you know
Mm-hmm.
how they really feel. So
Mm-hmm.
his grandmother was really uptight and she was always about this and that. She knew he was gay, but it was like, he never solidified a relationship with anybody. So he meets this guy, they start getting really close. Um, and the grandfather had owned this cottage. She gives the son the cottage, but there's a whole thing about the cottage. I'm not going to go into it because I would ruin the movie. But when she gives him the cottage, he actually creates a space of his own. And he has this absolute breakdown when he's trying to start a real relationship with somebody for the first time. And he figures out the reason that he feels that way is because of his grandmother's attitude. And it takes a long time, and finally it all comes out. But you need to watch the movie to really get to the end of it. I'm not going to tell you the end of the movie. But it was really
Okay.
good because it was a really great study in that, in how we carry beliefs from one generation to the other. And if they're unquestioned, you get people stuck.
Yeah. Well, and I had a I, I had a good friend that said something one day. He said, if a question provides you just an answer and not leads you to ponder maybe something else, he was like, then it's time to start questioning why. He was like, because nothing should ever just be a definitive solid answer because nothing ever stays definitively the same. People, time, even though things, history repeats itself, but even in that, technology is greater now than it was then. Even though history things might be repeating, there are other things that have changed within it. So,
There's an incredible amount of information that wasn't available to general people 30
yes,
years ago.
even that
Even
has
when I was young.
changed.
What we can
Yeah,
access now is amazing.
exactly. So, just looking at those couple of things that have changed, even though other things have remained the same, we've got to question these beliefs or what some call generational curses that we continue to keep handing down to our generations and generations within families.
True. And, if if you aren't questioning things and as you grow older, you have more experience, it's very gray. As a young person, you're always like, well, why don't they just do it? That's right. It's the right thing. But it's always deeper than that. And as you have more experience in life, you understand that. Because people are different. And some people, the circumstances will break, and some they will walk right on through that fire and be okay. So the world is never just black and white. The world is always a lot of gray because it depends on the people involved and the circumstances.
You are 100% correct there. Alicia and I talk about that a lot. Like, we always joke, we're gray people. Like, we're grays. Like, I mean, I guess we're part of the alien clan, but yeah, we're grays. Like, because there are things that are very definitive, just cut dry, but most things are not. And if it involves a human, I can guarantee you there is so many other things that you need to understand about that situation before you can actually begin to try to accurately assess it or pass judgment or opinion on it. And things that you will never be able to experience, well, you can't operate out of a mindset of fear because you're never even going to know. Does that mean you're never going to be in a situation to be able to know? So
you stunt your own growth.
Yeah, you stunt your growth and those around you. So fear and responding out of fear. Number 2, got to stop it. All right. So with that, let's keep this train moving and let's hit number 3, which would be trusting or expecting others to know our needs and desires. Now, this was yours,
to know
Tim.
our needs and wants.
Yes. So I'm gonna let you start first here. This was one of yours.
Yeah. Yeah, because we all think we know everybody. We think we know each other. We think that by proximity and time that we really know each other, but we don't. We all know each other by situation. And until a certain situation happens, you don't really know that person. You don't know what they're going to need, and you don't know how they're going to react. So it's important for all of us to learn to ask specifically for what we need. Had some friends, we were all hanging out when I was young, and they hit a telephone pole. And we were like right near them. So we turn around and we go to the car. The car's torn up, but they're pretty much okay. But one guy cut his forehead, so he had to go to the hospital. And that, and I'm really calm when stuff is going down. I can maintain, I can be level. I get upset afterwards. So I'm like, okay, come on, I'm taking you to the hospital. And another friend who's always talking about how they run stuff was like, and I was like, okay, you stay here with the car. I'm going to take him to the hospital. But like I said, situationally, until those things happen, you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important when things do happen, or even in general things, to express your feelings and your needs and your wants. If you come home at the end of the day and you're just wiped out in your mind and you walk through the door and somebody asks you something, instead of biting their head off, maybe you say, you know what? I'm sorry, but I just need 30 minutes. I need to take a shower. I need to drink, whatever it is. Let them know what's going on. Mm-hmm. And most of the time, they're happy to give you that, whatever that is, if you ask for it.
Exactly.
But if you come in and slam the door and they're like, hey, and you're just like, okay, and you walk away, they have no idea what's going on with you. And most of the time people think you're mad at them or something, or they come talking to you trying to understand. So you got to express yourself.
Well, like the old saying goes, you can't remain a complete mystery and still think that people are going to be able to meet your needs. The only way that most things are found out is by verbalization. You've got to say it out loud. So, but that's really funny that was your.
But I've also learned I will never in my life say that somebody wouldn't do something. Because depending on the moment, the experience, their emotional state, and what's going on, any one of us is subject to anything at any time based on the situation. And I know that for a fact because I was there. And I said, I will never let another person take me that far out of my original character again, because my reacting to their nonsense was doing that. They were really about to die.
Yep.
But it's, there's no point in that. And wouldn't have served any purpose. I wouldn't have felt better afterward, and they'd have been gone. And in hindsight, what if that had happened? Some other things have happened that would have changed the trajectory of a whole lot of people's lives.
Right.
So you have to be able to maintain your faculties no matter what.
Amen. And that's funny that was the third point that you had for today, because my fourth one would be stop bearing parts of yourself, which really, again, feeds kind of into the point that you just brought up of what people, us humans, need to stop doing. But we can't bury parts of ourselves and actually be authentic. It's kind of like saying, I want freedom, but then hanging out with and doing all the things that keep you from being free in whatever type of area that you're wanting it. So you're saying it in one breath, but you're doing everything that is completely against what you're saying you want. So at that point, if you're bearing parts of yourself, then how many other areas of your life are you not speaking up in? And you're not saying the desires, not saying your needs, not saying what has to happen or the wants for, today, tomorrow, or the future. You cannot bury yourself and have a fulfilled life. Impossible. It is.
And you also don't give people the opportunity. You're not giving other people the opportunity to be decent or to be right. It's like at work, somebody gets mad. Oh, I'm gonna quit. You should quit too. No, that you quit because you're mad and you want to quit. Well, I don't have the problem, because when I have a problem, I get with my manager and say, I need to talk to you because this is the situation and this is what it's doing to me. And I need you not to react that way to me. I am on board with whatever we need to get done, but I need you to never speak to me that way again. I don't need
whatever
to
the situation is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
I don't,
it's have a
I don't need to run from it. Yeah, I don't need to run from it, because that's what it is when you just walk out. And also, they don't know what happened. I had a situation at work where we were really busy, and I threw something that a customer handed me, and my boss was like, "Are you okay? Do you need 5 minutes?" I was like, "I'm good. We're just busy." And she was like, "Well, you look kind of angry, and you're big, and you're a black guy." And I was like, "Hold up, first of all, wait a minute. If y'all are nervous because I'm big and black, that means you should do what I told you to do in the first place, and we don't have any issues, And it's not.
So you're not nervous
that is
about
past
that.
my level of responsibility for what people think. Right?
Exactly.
I don't start stuff. I'll finish it. But that's beyond the level of my responsibility on how people feel.
Exactly.
So, but we had to talk about it afterward, and I told her why it was offensive to me, and she's like, "I see your point. Get it." I was like, "No, I'm not." I'm like, "Yeah, because if you're really scared because you don't know me and I threw a towel, then you should have done, like I said, you should have done what I told you in the first place." So,
exactly.
And then you'd be done it out. But yeah, you do. You have to speak your mind. And if you never speak your mind, you get the leftovers. You get whatever people are willing to give you, and you're okay with it because you don't speak up.
Exactly. And it's kind of like I went somewhere one time to eat, and where we went, it's home cooked, and every day it was like a certain dessert. But the way dessert works is first come, first serve. Well, when we ordered our food, even though we got there a little late for lunch, first thing I said was, "What's today's dessert? What'd you make?" And she said, "Better than sex cake." I was like, "I'm gonna need you to put a piece up. I don't want it now, but put it up and put it on my ticket." And she goes, "Okay." After we're done eating, the people I'm with are like, "So what desserts do we have?" Well, she brings my cake out. They're like, "That's what I want." And they're like, "She got the last piece." Well, how'd she get it? Well, she happened to ask when she first got here, and when we walked back here, it was the last piece. And some guy goes, "I was going to order that." And I said, "You've been here for 30 minutes. You was here 30 minutes before I got here, So we're now at about an hour. You've been here. You just now thought to ask what the dessert is that once it's gone, it's gone. It's like that's not my fault.
Yeah.
You should have opened your mouth if that's what you really wanted. Because I honestly that day could have cared less about food. I was in a sweets kind of mood. And she had the right one. Don't get mad at me. I opened my mouth. That's why I'm eating the cake I wanted.
Especially if you know how it works. If you know how it works, that should be on your mind.
Amen. And it was on mine, but it obviously wasn't on theirs. But I think they might have learned a life lesson that day. Open your mouth. If you know you're going to want it,
well,
just go ahead and ask.
In organizations, I always get into trouble because I'm the person I go, are we going to be who we say we are?
Ooh, that's a good one.
When we were in church and I was younger and I had gone to school and learned all these things, when we were talking about the offering table at the front, which is not the offering table, it's the members table. And, they had a habit of sitting hymnals and stuff on it and purses and whatever was going by. And I was like, I'm really sorry, you all, but that's a specific place for specific things. It's not a catch-all, and it's to be revered. That's why it's in that spot where it is in the church. And the first thing I heard was, well, I've been doing that. And I was like, okay, if you picked your nose in public for 30 years and somebody lets you know that it's nasty when you're getting ready to eat, would you still do it? And I did. And my point to them was, what is the point of me going to school and learning the knowledge of how things should be if we're just going to do whatever? Because that says we don't believe in what we say we believe, and we're not being who we are, because all of that is part of who we are. And it's not criticizing you because you've been doing it. It's letting you know, because obviously you didn't know. Now we can be better.
Right. And you're right. But all of those, it's funny because those 2 points right there wrap in so well together. Again, hiding parts of yourself or half-assing your way through something. Well, this is how it should be, but I've been doing it this way for umpteen years and we've gotten by. You can't do that. Say what you mean what you say, and show up the exact same way no matter where you are. Be you always.
Your actions have to meet your words.
They do in every area. So you've got to not hide parts of yourselves, because if you hide a part of yourself over here, it becomes very easy to just continue to hide. And then one day you're sitting there like, how did I become such a shadow operator? Well, you're always hiding. Hell, you don't even know who you are most of the time because you're always hiding.
And it's confusing to people who know you, because people who know you in this situation are like, oh my God, I used to say, if 7 people of my friends came together because I died, and they're all very different, but they would be consistent if they were describing who I was. It wouldn't be any like, it's like, oh, I didn't know Tim went bowling. Yeah, we used to go bowling all the time. Or, we went to the symphony, or we used to write together. But as far as my behavior, they're all going to pretty much say the same stuff.
Yep.
Yes.
You're the same no matter where you are.
Pretty much. And, I will shut it down if I have to. we get a restart. But I really tried. And one of the on the board that I serve on for a charity here, our director always tells me, I see, I try not to say much, but when I say something, I really mean. She said, no, I like that about you. She said, and you're not when there's somebody that gets out of line and they're like, oh, I don't know how to talk to him. And they go, well, Tim, will you talk to him? Sure, I'll talk to him. Because there's nothing to say but to say it. Make them aware, and make them aware of how it looks, and make them aware of the consequences. And at one point when I did something, I was like, yeah, I was wrong. So I need the same, I need to be sat down for 3 months like anybody else would. And they were like, well, don't hate to do it. I was wrong. I live by the same rules of everyone else in this organization. So you guys vote and do what you need to do. And I'm with whatever you decide. But don't decide different because you know me better. No, the punishment should be whatever the punishment that we've all agreed on. One of the things should happen, and they did.
No
And
matter
and I took it, and finished.
the key factor there. It doesn't matter who the offender was. If there's a set of rules, and no matter how much you may hate to do it, you have to follow through. Your words have to match.
And how would anybody be really able to respect me if I used my position with them to skirt that?
Amen.
I
Right?
lose all credibility.
You know what? That I think should take us right into our next point, because that was a very good word that you said there. If you skirt, what does that do for your character and all of those things? Stop using love as an excuse.
Oh my God.
I read something, and I read it this morning, so how ironic. When you tolerate bad behavior, you lose self-respect without realizing you've lost it.
Mm-hmm. I will never love somebody to the point to where I will be devalued or disrespected. Because those are things that love will never do.
There you go.
Everything is about intention. Yeah, we may say things that hurt each other's feelings sometimes, but that's very different than just really just being nasty and saying some stuff out of your mouth that you can't take back. And I don't believe in taking stuff back, because if you were mad and said it, you meant it.
Well,
so we're going to deal with it from that point.
Yep.
Because your intention in that moment was to use that, especially if it was something I told you about me that you wanted to throw at me from 3 months ago, whenever. You were trying to manipulate me with information that I gave you, which means you broke my trust.
Mm-hmm.
You're
right.
And rather than argue with you about it, now I know where we stand. So we're not where I thought we were. So I have to make a choice. Do I continue, or do I say, unless we can rectify this is not happening with me, because I know that I'm worth more than that, and I deserve better treatment than that, because I treat people better than that. I really try to.
Man, intentions matter more than, and intentions don't just start with the verbalization. Intentions start in the thoughts and in the heart. So you've got to check that, because if it's here and here, it's definitely coming out of here. It can't come out of here if it wasn't here first, or here. So you got to figure out why you're feeding those things, and if it's something that you're feeding because you're neglecting to have a conversation because you're just trying to avoid it, or you don't like conflict, or you don't like uncomfortableness, well, you are your own problem. You can't fix something unless you wade through it, and sometimes it's not going to feel comfortable.
Well, if you value yourself and you value your relationships, there are conversations that you'll have to have.
We said that last week even.
And you come out better on the other side for having it. Yeah, you come out better on the other side for having those conversations. But there's, I've told you before, I believe in giving people, when I have to have a hard conversation with somebody, not to be angry and not to be accusing, but to ask questions, because I want them to have a way to get out of the conversation with some dignity.
Well,
no matter who was wrong, even if they're dead wrong. I don't want them to feel it's not about winning. I want them to feel like, okay, we were able to talk about that. Okay. It didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. No hammers were thrown. No knives were picked up. And
not only that, I feel like when you allow people those types of conversation flows, you allow them the space to be like life itself just smacks them. You don't have to be the person that's, because the way that you've allowed it to just let them be able to communicate what they needed to say and why they reacted or acted the way they did. And sometimes that will hit home harder than you trying to be a drill sergeant. A conversation where you've allowed space and grace will usually gut punch somebody quicker than you just being a verbal bully. It's true. I've watched it happen.
Yeah. And I know, I of all people, I know that I have a wicked tongue if I choose to. Wicked.
Same. Very,
Will
very.
send you home
Yep.
mad for 3 or 4 days.
Yep.
But if I value my relationships, I'm not going to be that way. And I don't want to get to that point to where I'm so frustrated where I behave that way, because things should be spoken about as they come up. And it's a lot easier.
I agree with you there. I totally agree with you there. All right. Hit your next point.
Saying yes when you feel no.
All right. Point number
Now,
6. Saying yes when we feel no.
so I listen to Lisa Nichols a lot. That's my girl. She's awesome. If you don't know who she is, look her up on YouTube. She's an author. Her story is amazing, but she's got a bunch of videos, and she has several companies. But she believes in personal development, and she believes in growing from wherever you are. She also believes that one of the things I used to say, there's no other hero in your life but you. There are times in your life where you have to stand up and do the work for yourself, on yourself, about yourself to get where you need to go. And it's not easy. But she says your no should be a definite no. So if somebody says, you know what, we're having a barbecue this weekend, I would really love if you could come, and you don't want to go, be okay with saying, I can't this time. I've made plans, whatever. But no, I'm not going to be there.
And actually, no is a complete
You don't
sentence.
owe them an explanation, but if you don't want to hurt, if you think they'll be hurt about it, tell them whatever. You visit family, you have something to do already that you've already, you've already given that time ahead of time, so you can't change it. You have plans, and your plans may be to stay at home.
You know what, though? I learned, it was so funny. I learned this doing nails. People could care less why you was canceling them. Their main concern was that they was getting moved, and they had a plan, and now their day has gone to crap, or it might have helped open their day up, or it might have been the one good piece of joy that they was looking forward to, and now they're kind of like, oh. But either way it goes, they never cared why you was canceling. Only thing they wanted to know, when can you get me back in? And that there,
they want to know about the part that affects them.
Yeah, and that right there stopped me from being so over explanatory, because a lot of humans feel like they have to explain themselves. Now, there is a fine line there, because like I said, like we were saying earlier, you have to be open. You can't bury parts of yourself. But at the same time, if somebody's asking you to do something that involves your time, and you're like, no, I don't want to do it, or hey, I've got this to do, or hey, simply I just want to sit around in my underwear and not be responsible to anybody or have to explain myself. No. But doing nails and actually being my own boss and having to interact with my clients when they needed to schedule or whatever, it really helped me become very rooted in learning to say no when I mean no, and not yes because I feel bad. Because I'm that person, I hate telling somebody no, especially when I'm like, ooh, I might be like 5 minutes late or whatever, but I think I can work them in. But how did that help me? It didn't. It just made me that much more crazy. Your nails look great, but now I've got somebody else on the line over here mad, or their time's jacked up. So it was like, I didn't have a choice. I had to become very comfortable with saying no. The empath in me hated telling people I can't get you in. But the reality is, I'm one person. I can only do so much. And if I spend all my time explaining myself, I don't have time to do what I'm supposed to be doing. So, no.
Well, I learned when I worked at the car dealership, I was the point person for problems. And there was a reason for that. They weren't to go to service. They weren't to go to the service manager. They weren't to talk to the sales manager. If the car had been bought and there was something that needed to be done, I was the only point of contact they were supposed to have. And here's why. Sometimes less information is better.
Yes, because not too much.
So the guy that bought, well, it also creates more doubt and problems. So the guy who bought the Corvette, because he knows he's dying in 6 months and he wants his son to have it. and the car comes in and the wrong tires are on it. I don't want to tell him that.
No.
I want to give him a definite time that the car is going to be ready. I've already ordered the correct tires, and I'm going to say, I think there's a problem with one of the tires, but give me a couple of days, because if there's something wrong with one, we have to fix the whole set. And if today's Monday, by Wednesday, I'll give you a call back, and hopefully we'll have it rectified. That's all I need to say. And or just, I want to check the entire car out before we give it to you. Give me till Wednesday, depending on the person. And that's so much better, because if they call and they got service be like, oh man, yeah, those tires were beat, but we got you some coming. All kinds of stuff. So
Yeah.
having less people in the conversation,
Yep.
and giving only the pertinent information that I say, like I say, only the part that really affects them, that matters to them. That's all you need to do. Open.
Yep.
When people run around and tell stuff that's going on with them to everybody, they set themselves up, and then people look at them like they're weak, and they go, "Well, why does everybody think?" I said, "Because instead of going to the person that you have the problem with, everybody else in town knows but them."
Yep. Or they now know, because everyone else in town knew, and it finally got back to them.
They heard it from somebody else, and they're like, "What is the problem? Why do you just talk to me?" And then you feel like, no, it's, just be direct. But yeah, I told people no, and I'm a big fan of none of your business. That's one of my favorite phrases.
Mine too.
Because it's not.
Yeah.
For most people, oh, are y'all dating? None of your business.
Like, what is it about?
Not yes. Oh, well, that probably means yes. No, that means it ain't none of your business. That's what it means. Because you and I aren't dating. So unless you and I are dating, whether we're dating doesn't mean a damn thing to you. Worry about what, fix your stuff. Yeah. Take care of your relationships. Worry about who you're dating, because I'm not dating them or you.
It's like someone one day, I was at the bar working, and there's like 6 of us standing there. And they were all talking about something that was going to happen. And they were like, "Are you going, Erica?" And, I'm making a drink and talking to somebody else. And I literally just turned around. I was like, "No." And then I keep talking. And they were like, "Well, why not?" And I looked at them. I was like, "Is that any of your concern?" And then I keep doing what I'm doing. "Well, I mean, but it's going to be a great time. I don't know why you wouldn't go." I was like, "Well, I don't know why we still talk about it." And they just looked at me, and I was like, I said I wasn't going. I was I'm like, you guys realize you could tell me they're giving $1 million out there. If it's not on my schedule of shit to do today or tomorrow, I'm not doing it. Like, I won't be there. I was like, obviously there's a reason I don't want to be there. There's something else I have to do. But none of your business.
But the other thing is, you ever drag somebody somewhere that told you they didn't want to go and have them ruin your whole time?
Yes, I have. And I have asked people before, don't tell me you want to go somewhere if you truly don't. Don't appease that, because that's not appeasing you. What you're going to do is piss me off. And then you're going to be mad at me if I say something to you about your attitude and how you're acting and your mood.
Yeah. Because there are things that I like to do that most people don't want to. I like going to museums. I like going to the National Portrait Gallery in DC. And I can spend half the day in there just looking and reading and going through things and taking my time. And people have said, "Oh, I'll meet you, we go." And then we go, and they're like, all I need is 2 of those.
Listen.
You know what? Go do whatever you want to do. Go ahead. Well, no, it's okay. It's not okay, because you're unhappy, and now you're making me not enjoy my experience because you really aren't into this. And I'm okay with that. Go get you a hot dog, go watch a movie, do whatever you want to do. But I'm not going to make you suffer through this, and you're not going to ruin my day.
Exactly.
Well, I don't want you to be here by myself. It's better than being here with somebody. It's like a relationship. It's better than being by myself. It's better than being here with somebody who doesn't want to be here.
Thank you. And I don't know why people, I do know why people don't understand that, because they fear alone time. They don't truly understand and value it. There's something about alone time they don't like, and it's usually silence, because there's no one popping in. There's no distractions. You are with yourself and yourself alone. Now, me, I love alone time because I know what I want to do with my time. I have things that interest me that I want to do. Or I know that I've overdone it and today's the long time, it's going to be chill time or whatever. But so many people fear that. And then they put that fear on other people like, how could you do that by yourself? Because if it's not enjoyable with someone, I'd rather just enjoy it and be by myself. Like,
Yeah, I had a friend growing up. Every time I'd want to go somewhere, she's like, is it okay for us to go there? I'm like, I'm going everywhere that's open because Black people couldn't used to go before. So I'm going. If it's open, I'm going, And but people do get roped into things.
they
People
do.
get coerced, like at work. If you're at work and a bunch of people hang together all the time, like, oh, you have to go out and have a drink with us after work. I don't want to go because most of the time I know what's going to happen. Y'all going to have 2 or 3 drinks and you're going to tell me some stuff I don't need to know. You're going to say some stuff about people at work that I don't need to hear. And you're not going to like what I have to say. And if I do say something, I know as soon as we get back to work, you'll be talking about Tim said, but you won't tell the stuff y'all were talking about.
Exactly.
So I've always tried to avoid this kind of conversation. Family things too. If I know that every time the family gets together, they talk about people and y'all quiet every time I come in, why do I want to come hang out with you all afternoon? You can talk about me without me being there. Then you can keep the conversation going. Because you always talk about who's not there.
Yep.
And I don't want to participate in it.
But some people will participate in that shit all day long.
But you do. You have to have it. When you say no, yeah, it takes a while, but you eventually get comfortable with no being enough. No, we're all going to get some cake later. No. You should go with us. No.
But it's like any other muscle.
I got stuff to do. Yeah, it is. And once you do it and you get there, it feels good because you eliminated all that anxiety that you have. Like, oh my God, I gotta go this stupid thing. Why did I say I want to go? And then you get there and you gotta force being fun and nice, and you don't want to be there.
Listen,
so
I have
unless
a rule.
There's some real specific reason that you have to participate in it, if you don't want to do it, just don't do it.
I have a rule. If I have to pretend smile, I'm not showing up. I'm not faking it till I make it.
I know that everything I really feel shows on my face no matter what. So there's no point.
My face is so untrained. I have tried for 36 years to get it in check, and it don't listen to me.
Unless they're giving free drinks and it's really gonna be some good liquor there, I don't need to be there.
Even then, it's not because I'm that person. I don't get drunk when I drink. So then, about an hour into it, everybody else is drunk and on my last nerve, and I become the mom of the group, and don't nobody like me then. Because now I got to get all y'all home because y'all white girl trash just. And I'm already, and I'm just bitching and momming. So yeah, it doesn't pay for me to go then either.
Y'all are messing up my trunk, and I gotta babysit you.
And I gotta babysit. And people like, Erica, why don't you want kids? Look at yourselves. Look at you. You grown. You look grown. You are a kid masquerading around as an adult. Look at you. This is why I want you. Y'all ain't even fucking grown. I'm good. We still raising y'all. Damn masqueraders. No. All right, number 7. All right, so this one is one that I hear people do so much, and I really would love to see a lot of you humans stop doing it because you're setting yourself up for failure. Quit talking bad to and about yourself, even jokingly. Your body can't tell the difference, and your body responds to what you tell it.
If you don't stop it, it just kills your courage. And so what if I'm going to make a fool of myself? Or so what if people are going to think this is funny because I said this or did this? Speak up, live. If that's the worst thing that happens in my life today, I'm okay with it.
Mm-hmm. But you know what? The things that a lot of us get insecure about and don't want others to see is that thing that it's that light or that spark that you as an individual have, that if you would let it show, there's at least one other person that only you could reach with that. and you're killing them too. You know, you're stifling their growth. They need to see that it's okay to shine and be every weird facet of what you are.
No, it's really bad on a lot of levels, but the first thing there are people out in the world, there are a million people ready to tell you something negative about yourself. The last thing you need to do is beat up on yourself. And the shame is we will be kind to other people and then do that negative self-talk to ourselves, which is crazy. You know, um, it comes, everybody has it. Everybody goes through those moments. But sometimes when you have it, you have to just in your mind say, you know what, shut up. Like you would if a person were saying that to you. What would you say to them? Shut up, and just leave me be. You have to, because it stays in the back of your mind, and it chokes you. It chokes you from putting yourself out there. It chokes you from stepping up when you know you need to. You feel like you want to. It holds you back, and you don't need to be reined in all the time.
It all starts with your words.
No, I mean that's pretty much it.
All right.
Which actually ties into the next one.
Which is what?
Which
Number 8.
is believing lies you tell yourself. Yep. We all have this idea of who we are. And I think I was probably 30 before I realized that other people really didn't see me the way I see me. Some saw it better, some saw it worse, but the picture's never complete because you're never going to know. But back to Lisa Nichols again. She has this work that she said you can do. It's called exposing the lies. So you take a pad and you're going to write down random thoughts you have about who you are. You can do 10, you can do 20, whatever, but leave 3 lines or so between each one. So after you list those, you can do it right after, you can do it tomorrow, but then go back and question them. And you go back, and on the 3rd line, you're going to write, how do I need to change to either make those things be who I say I am, or to eliminate them? And you'll find out a lot of those things that you write down about yourself are not true. Something somebody said, or something somebody always told you. Okay? Somebody said, and you accepted that because they were the authority, they know you, especially if it's our parents, and you never really questioned it. But then if you think about it, no, I finished a lot of things. I didn't finish those things because they weren't in my interest. They weren't what I wanted to do. So as you go through that, it's a really good exercise to get in touch with you.
I like that exercise because it's true. We are a makeup of what we've been told. And a lot of things we've been told about ourselves, it's not necessarily that it's a lie. It's just it's kind of like a conversation. No one can talk outside of their level of understanding or understand outside of that level. So you pass judgment or tell your children things about themselves to where you understand. So it's not a bad thing, but at the same time, it's, again, I feel, a life exercise. You either A, take it and eat all of that and operate in that, or B, you take it and you're like, but why? And you use that as your growing moment, even though you might explore it and find out it's true, but now you can understand why it's true through the exploring of it. So I like that. I need to check Lisa Nichols out.
She's cool. She's very cool.
I like her a lot. All right. That was number 8. So number 9, what you got for us?
Accepting cruelty as a norm. Okay. Accepting cruelty as a norm. Stop it.
Stop doing it. I like
when you see people doing things or with motives that are just flat out an opportunity to be mean, don't join in with them. Look at them and go, why are you doing that? Step up and say, is this who you are? This is how you go out in the world and behave toward people? What is wrong with you? Weren't you raised right? But question them, because we've gotten to the point to where people are so dynamic in the way that they want to express their dislike of somebody's opinion that it becomes character assassination instead of we just disagree. So we can
Yes.
disagree on things all the time, but it doesn't make me a good person and you a bad person, or vice versa. We just have different views, and those views are based on either our experience or whatever information we've taken in and how we've processed it and what it means to us. But it doesn't make somebody a bad person because they totally disagree with you on something, especially if it's something that doesn't have anything to do with you.
Right?
You know, all these people are so upset about transsexuals. Let me tell you, I just feel like this. If you feel that your natural gender doesn't match who you are, and you go through all that to become something that makes you comfortable with yourself, to me, that takes a lot of courage. It's not something that somebody would roll over and be like, oh, I want toast today. No, I want a muffin. Oh, and I'm going to be transsexual. No, it's not. They, you know, it's a process, and they've been through a lot of pain to do it. So, and most transsexuals, if you really look at, you won't know to tell you. I would say over 50%.
You're right.
Especially female to male. So when somebody's peeing, just pee and get out. Like, mind your business, like you were taught in elementary school. Don't hang out in the bathroom. Well, you know, there's a man in the bathroom. Well, lady, you know, obviously you got out alive. So get in your car and go about your business. You don't have to come and yell the whole gas station that, you know, what you think about it and this and that. It's none of your business.
You're right. And, you know, I hear a lot of people then want to come with the argument, but what if a child was in there? Here is all I have to say to that. Unless you walked in a bathroom, being a transsexual assaulting a child or someone that is biologically whatever gender they are, that's the only time that that's even a relevant subject matter. What if there was a kid?
First of all, we've all taken, if you've taken children out, you've taken children of a different gender into your bathroom because they needed to go to the bathroom. And there didn't used to be family bathrooms.
Listen, I don't remember family bathrooms. There were no family bathrooms when I was growing up.
They didn't have them. They didn't have them 20 years ago. It was a big thing. You know, so you took the kid in, the kid peed, and you washed your hands and left the bathroom, just like you should do now if you're 70 years old or 40 years old. How somebody's peeing, you know, and if it's a woman's bathroom with stalls, how do you even know there are a lot of women who look like men?
Thank you. Say it again, Tim.
How are you going to know what they're doing under the, you know, get over yourselves. Just get over yourselves. It's not necessary. It's not worth it. And people have all these ideas about things that don't apply to them. I'm a man. I think that women should have a right because I know that women have always had abortions. They always will. Some women have abortions. It's none of my business. It's not. Unless it's my child, it's none of my business.
You're right. It isn't.
And we don't need to know these things about everybody. So just putting bounties on doctors, every person that puts a bounty on a doctor for providing abortion services, we should come to your house and you should have to tell us everything you've ever done and put all your dirt out in the street. If you want to be that intrusive to somebody else, providing a service so that people remain safe.
Say it again. Because how many backwards?
Providing something so that people can be safe. Because that was the issue before. Rich people had their doctors come to the house and have abortions. Poor people did whatever and ended up
in the back of an alley.
Infected, sick, dead, you know. So the realities of humanity, we need to understand. People are going to do what they're going to do. And everything is not your business. Your belief, if you would be kinder and more decent to people instead of stomping around, yelling at them, telling them that they're ungodly, you might have people in church.
Woo! Can I get it?
Nobody wants to hear that.
Nope.
Nobody wants to be a part of that.
Well,
and there's nothing unlifting. You're not lifting anybody.
No, you're not. You're adding more emotion. You're adding weight.
Judgment.
You're emotionally guilting them. You're physically guilting them. So all you're doing is adding weight. And as a woman, this is all I have to say about abortions. Unless you are about to step into that person's life and can take over every facet of their life while that from that pregnancy on, you technically need to go sit down. Because if you can't do that, then you are not sitting in a position to factually judge or have an opinion. Because unless you can come pay their bills, get up, go do the things that they may not be able to do now because they are pregnant to provide for themselves, unless you can come in and fulfill all that, I'm gonna need you to.
Yeah,
Because
because if
you
you
because
can't be against abortion and still be against support for mothers to go to school, WIC, and all these other things. Okay, you can't have it both ways.
thank you.
You
Thank
can't
you.
make somebody have this child and do nothing to support them growing in the way they need so that they can sustain the child. Also, you can't be against abortion and not get a vaccine because you might kill somebody or you might die yourself.
Oh, you might have struck a nerve.
All lives matter, don't they? Okay,
That's
so
what
if
they
all
say.
lives matter, let's treat them like it.
That's what they say, but you're right. That is a very valid point. I hadn't even looked at that one yet. You're against abortion, but you won't get a vaccine. That's a contradiction in itself.
Something will kill you. You see people die. You look on TV, it's really happening, but I'm not, whatever. Okay. My thing on that is if you refuse to get a vaccine, you can do that. But when you're in the hospital, I don't want to pay for it. You don't want to pay for abortions. I don't want to pay for you getting sick with COVID because you didn't want to take a shot.
I get that. But
somebody told you, and a lot of what you read that somebody told you is Russia telling you stuff to keep us divided and angry.
You're right, but I'm going to say this, and this comes from actual personal dealing with people. I wouldn't have had a job moving into this city had someone not taken a vaccine and their life got wiped out. Plain and simple. They were a healthy individual and they've not been able to work. They can't even stand up and walk for more than 20 minutes at a time since taking the vaccine. So I, in my own right, have my own reasons for not taking the vaccine, but at the same time, I'm not running around telling people what they should and shouldn't do when it comes to abortions or any of that, because watch this, I don't have the time, energy, or money that it takes to take care of somebody else if they choose to have a child after the words that came out of my mouth is what made them have it when they don't need to be having it because they can't sustain themselves, let alone a new life. So, no, I'm going to sit over here and I'm going to pray that you find your way through it and you find your peace through whichever decision you choose. And if you need me, I got you. I'll be your rock. But I can't take that weight or responsibility on and tell you, you shouldn't have. I can't. You know why? I'm not in your life. I'm not in your body. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. But
and
you don't have to be cruel when saying those things to people.
Yes. And everybody has had put in front of them. Someone wants to help you with this child. She's ready. She's 60. She's done with that. She's trying to go somewhere. So there's a lot of ifs. And you have all these people telling young women what they should do, but nobody wants to do the support side. You can't do both.
You cannot have your cake and eat it too. And you cannot beat somebody over the head because you feel it's murder. If you're not coming in to help them, then shut up. Because what you feel
and what if it was
your
what if the baby's by your husband? Yeah, and what if the baby's by your husband?
Exactly. Because I can tell you a lot of women that I know for a fact because I've had conversations with them. They will sit and denounce abortion, but then turn around and be like, you need to abort that kid because you cheated on me and the whole damn town don't need to know. Oh, so
yeah, and you also don't want that kid knocking on your door at 16 times about is you my daddy.
Exactly. So to those of you who oppose abortion over here until it creates it helps get rid of a shadow in your life over here, I'm gonna call you sometimers. I'm gonna need you to go back to rule number 4. Stop bearing parts of yourself. Stop saying one thing over here and then doing another over here and creating some space because, well, there's an exception to this rule. No, because if you said it's killing a life over here, then just because your husband knocked somebody up, now you want it gone, it's still killing a life over here. So get your shit together, America.
God never gave us permission. God never gave us permission to pass judgment on other people and decide their fate.
Amen. You know what? I said this the
other day. It's none of your business.
I said this the other day to someone. I was like, a lot of things that people think are wrong actually aren't wrong. And here's why. That situation called for that. You're not in it. So you can't have an honest perception on if it really was wrong or right. You're operating on a half-assed amount of information. So just sit back and watch some things
And you
play
do
out.
not have to suffer. You suffer no outcomes either way. So your
Amen.
judgment is like is misaligned. It really is.
Yeah, and it's wasted energy. You literally wasted time and energy worrying about something and getting all spun up, and then probably had your day or 12 of them wrecked in a row because you still mad and festering on it in your brain. And what did it solve? Nothing. Nothing. But you did lose out on some things, and you probably missed some of your own opportunities that walked right by you because you was busy in somebody else's business. Mind your business. It's real easy. Watch me.
And you're not. And the thing is, I look at these videos of people yelling at people, especially people they don't know at all. My thing is, people have so much going on with themselves today. You don't know what somebody's going through.
Amen.
So if you're in somebody's stuff at the gas station, you don't know what may happen. So it's much easier to just get in your car, mind your business, and go about your way. Because people are stressed to the max and they will act out. And I know if I'm in line at the gas station and you put your hands on me, I don't care what and who you are, we go deal.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be a video, but we both going to jail today. Because it's not acceptable behavior. It's not.
And it's unnecessary.
If you want that, watch wrestling. If that really, trash talking and stuff and people watch wrestling. But it's not a component for everyday life.
Amen. It's not. Because
it just isn't.
I'm so glad you brought that up because Joey and I were having a discussion about something just the other day. And my question to him in the matter was, well, what are you going to do about the situation? I said, and before you answer, anything that comes up with violence is not an answer. And here's why. You can solve it that way. But then in 2 weeks, you're going to be like, I don't understand why this bad shit's happening. Well, probably because you created a bad situation and put bad karma out there. So my question again, what you gonna do about it constructively? And he just looked at me and said, I don't know.
But not only that too. When people say, I'll go get them, I'll handle them. You okay? You don't know who you're messing with.
Exactly. You know what you're capable of only to what
and
you
it may
have
be
been
somebody that on
to.
a regular day would be like, oh my God. Yeah, but you may have somebody that generally minds their own business. They'd be like, oh my God. And you catch them at the wrong moment. They've had a bad day at work and everything else. And they're like, you know what? I don't need this today. So whatever it is, it's going to be. And they take it all out on you.
Yeah. So you don't know. And, people who walk around like, yeah, but they don't know me. Yeah, but guess what? You don't know them. And you know you to an extent. Because guess what? You've not ever had to go up against them. And again,
everybody
you aren't in their mind. Yeah. So
everybody can fall. Doesn't matter how tough you are, how big and bad you think you are. Everybody can fall. Yep. But the other thing about violence is never a solution because violence is a cycle and it creates a cycle of retribution. And then it's just a behavior that never ends. Yep. Look at the Middle East.
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to send some missiles and kill some of y'all. Okay, we've got more missiles, so we're going to kill a whole lot more of y'all. Okay, well, we'll keep sending missiles, and, we don't want to talk. And the people dying didn't make the decision to fight in the first place.
Yeah. They're stuck in the middle of it.
And you can't control someone without being a prisoner yourself. If you got to watch somebody and keep them regulated to where you want them and when you want them, and they can only do this and that, and you have to monitor that, guess who's not free? You're not free either.
Mm-hmm. But people forget that aspect. They don't think about that side of it.
They don't.
They see the glamour in the fact that they have the control. Okay, well, but you're a prisoner just as well as they are, because if you're not monitoring them, then the things you want to happen aren't going to happen. So who's to say who's more free? And at that point, no one is.
Yeah. And when people say all this time, well, they need to do this and they should make them do that. Well, who's going to stand there and make them do it? You?
Right.
Do you want the job?
Right.
It's not a fun job. So you know, unless you're willing to take the job, let it go.
Amen. Well, I think that brings us to number 10 very easily, which, fellow humans, I'm going to need y'all. We going to need y'all to stop shifting the blame. Well, who cares what they did or didn't do? No one's asking you about them. No one's ever going to ask you about them because you can't answer for them, but you can answer for what you do, and you're going to have to answer for what you do. It'd be like you borrowing my car, Tim, and then you choose to let somebody else drive it, and then they wreck it, and you're like, well, now see that, but it doesn't matter. I loaned my car to you, so why was they driving it at all? Like,
Right.
irrelevant. Like, so stop shifting blame, peeps. Like, where you want to go with it, Tim?
Well, a lot of it's like I said, I always say what was the intention? That's really what does it for me, to really how I want to go with it. Because people do and say really stupid things, but they don't intend for it to hurt somebody. And that's very different than going at somebody because you want to tear them down. When people don't for any participation in their actions, they have no credibility, zero credibility, period. If everywhere you go, people are ignorant and have a problem, and you're there, some of the problem is you. You can't have an argument by yourself, and they can't have an argument alone. If the two of you had an argument, you participated in it. Own your part, whatever that may be.
Yep.
I probably should have said nothing. Okay. And then it would have just gone on its own way and taken care of itself. Yeah, I'm responsible because I shouldn't have reacted to it. But you bear responsibility for whatever you participated in. Somebody cheated on me over and over and over again. Well, you participated in that because you kept telling them it was okay. And you kept telling them you loved them enough to let them walk all over you.
Yep, you're right. And it is so
nothing
easy.
happens nothing happens to you without your participation in some way.
Yes, Lord, yes. And I literally saw something the other day and I was like, that's true to a point. And it was like, everybody always wants to talk about the reaction and the blow up. They never want to talk about how it got there. It doesn't matter how it got there. It doesn't matter how you responded. It doesn't matter what they did. Because even if they stole everything except your life, they got to answer for that. You got to answer for how you react to it. And if you react maliciously, you can best believe everything that comes back to you is coming back with some dark days ahead. And you're going to feel like, man, the world's against me. No, boo, you catching up with you. Because again, it might have been justified, but you still have to pay penance for everything you do in this life. So,
and if you're living a life in fear, like all these people buying all these guns and stockpiling guns at the house, somebody, ring doorbell, I don't know, I will blow them away. Killing somebody is a serious thing, and it does something to you psychologically, physically, and emotionally. So people brag about it, but it changes who you are. And to know that you killed somebody and you didn't have to, I think is a lot to carry.
It is.
Somebody
I've watched
is
people
ringing your doorbell because maybe some 16-year-old kid was walking in the neighborhood. They felt somebody was following them, so they went to the first house they could and rang the doorbell. And you open the door and shoot them because you don't think they have any reason to be on your porch. Instead of you being a help, you become a hindrance. You created a much bigger problem for yourself and society as a whole. And you can't take those things back.
No, you can't. You cannot. And it is really quick. People are very quick. And I'm so thankful for my time in the military because I watched it happen time and time again, which is why I don't care to speak on it. There's a lot of verbal warriors. And now that we have an internet phase, we got a lot of what we call keyboard warriors. Y'all talk a big game. You all are the same individuals, though, that were the kindergarten merry-go-round bullies, pushing people out of swings for no reason. And this is why I know y'all were those people, because I've stood beside you all when some shit went to shit, and you went to shit, like you literally shit yourself. But you talk a great game. You don't know what you will do until you're put in that situation. So always be thankful that you feel like you have that drive, but until you have to actually produce it, you don't know what you would do. So be hopeful, be thankful, and go sit down. Because talking a big game, I don't care what you say. I care about what happens in the moment. Like, you and I are a lot alike. When shit gets bad, I'm kind of like Sherlock Holmes. When emotions are high for everybody else and like a heightened situation goes on, everything slows down for me. I can see everything going on. It's like Holmes vision. It's like, what they kind of coined that in the movie terms, but it does
and I
for
usually
me.
can see where it's going too. I see
Same.
where it's going way before they figure it out.
Same. And I'm like,
yeah.
and I'm working.
Like, oh, we don't need to start this because I already know this is going to be bad.
Yep. But, I'll sit there and I'll see
and
these
unnecessary.
People and unnecessary. But I'll be in these situations and I'll see these people and I'm like, but you was always running your mouth. You was always, I'll do this, I'll do that, and shifting blame and moving this. You didn't do anything. You existed. You actually was in the way. You were one of the people we had to move out of the way. I thought you was here to help. Don't be so eager to say what you would do. Gran used to always say this to me. Watch the ones that run their mouth a lot. Just watch them. Just sit back and watch them. When the time comes, don't say, just sit back and watch them. And why? Because they're going to show you a whole lot of what they're not going to do. She said, I don't care if they'd have told you they'd have been in the moon and back. Did you see them do it?
But it comes time to stand up, they're not.
Yeah, they're not. She said the ones who were quick to talk are usually the ones not going to be there in your corner. So just sit back. You don't have an army. You're an army of one always. You know what you're going to do. And you really don't know that until you've been put in that type of situation. Like, for example, I got mauled by a dog. And a lot of people know this. A lot of people don't. And when it happened, it was like the most slow motionist thing ever. When it was all said and done, and I had to sit down and timeline stuff out, and I told the story so many times. I looked at my phone because I remember making a phone call before I got out of the car to go in and house sit, and check on the dog. Only 12 minutes passed, but it felt like it was 2 hours, if that makes sense. And a lot of my friends, after they saw pictures and stuff, they were like, we don't understand how you got away. How did you do it? I said, well, I'm going to tell you the first thing I did. I quit worrying about who the fuck was coming to my aid because obviously no one was. I said, and I got myself out of the situation. I quit worrying about screaming. I said, because me exhausting myself screaming for help, I was about to pass out because I'm exhausting all this other blood is expelling from my body, I was like in the midst of a ground fight. I said, so the first thing I did was I quit worrying about everybody else. I quit worrying about what was going on around me, and I was in that moment. I was like, but other than that, I couldn't tell you. I was like, Grace, I don't know. I was like, timing. I said, because you can't train for something like that. I was like, it literally came out of nowhere. I said, but I'm thankful it happened to me and not one of the other 3 people that could have been house sitting. Because one of the ladies that would house sit at the time, she was an elderly lady with hip issues. She already walked with a limp. She would have never gotten away from it. You know what I mean? And she's a tough old broad. But in the midst of she wouldn't have gotten away from him. She had breathing, all kinds of different things going into play that would have hindered her no matter how much she might have wanted to. So I'm like, I don't know, but I do know this. I got a lot of friends that would have died in that backyard that day. You know why? Because one, I got a lot that wait on other people to make things happen. I got a lot that shift blame. And I got a lot that I know that why me? Or a lot that talk a big game and can't produce shit for shit when metal meets metal. So know what you know, because you only know what you know as far as you know it.
and and it's interesting, like you said, you learn people in those situations, because I stopped going to see my brother. Well, I had to go over there once in a while anyway, but I used to ride my bike over there for Brian, and he had a German Shepherd, and I was afraid of the dog just because the dog barked all the time when I ride by on my bike. So when I went over that day, I saw the chain in the doghouse, so I thought the dog was in the doghouse and chain. And as I came in and shut the gate, the dog comes around the house. And of course, I start bit me. I have a spot on my leg. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but the dog bit me. And he stood there and laughed about it with his friend. And I was like, what the shit was that?
Yeah.
And I went home and I was like, I'm not going back over there. That was it. I was done.
Yeah.
On top of some other. No.
But that falls into that accepting cruelty as a norm. You cut that bullshit off. You was like, nope, won't be hanging out with your cruel ass no more.
Cannot rely on that one. Nope.
Yep. But, in these 10 things, I know it's hard. All of them are hard. None of them are easy. I know I work on all of them myself. on a daily because people will try you. Life will try you. But what words of encouragement do you have to offer people as they maybe find a few of those things that they
Just
really, really
the
need to
whole
work
thing
with?
is be more aware. Yeah, be more aware not only of what's going on around you, of who you want to be in any situations that arise. Is it worth it for you to get wound up and be nasty to somebody at McDonald's because they forgot to not put ketchup on your cheeseburger? Is it that serious? Unless you're allergic to ketchup, but even then, is it that serious for you to act out and be ignorant and loud and just, yeah, instead of saying, I'm sorry, this wasn't made right. I asked for no ketchup and let them fix it. Is it really worth jumping over the counter at somebody? But yeah, I mean, look at how many things go sideways that don't have to.
Yeah.
And then there are times when you see somebody and you saw somebody that was uncomfortable and need of help. They felt they were afraid something was going on, but you at that point didn't want to stand up and say anything because you didn't want that person directing any of that at you. You got to have some courage. There's sometimes when there's 20 people standing around, all it takes is a couple to say, "Why are you doing that?" That's really out of line
And you
for somebody to think, and they're outnumbered.
and you know what? And usually it's not even a couple. If you have 20 people around and one person says it out loud, you can guarantee at least 3 of them was thinking it. So,
And if 4 of you walk toward the person, it's over. They're leaving.
yeah. So,
It's done.
don't
But we gotta look out for people, but get to know yourself.
it's a
But be aware. Just be aware of not only we spend a lot of time on others, behavior of others, and not enough time on our own behavior. You know, who do I want to be in the world? Yeah, I see people do stupid and mean things all the time. That's not who I want to be. I don't want to emulate that. I don't need to pick up that. I don't serve who I want to be. And it's not going to change them.
yeah,
They'll
you
change
are
when they're
so
ready
correct.
or not. So that's the biggest thing. Be as aware of your own behavior as you are of others. Because if you check yourself, you avoid a lot of nonsense.
Very true. I like it. And I think if I had one to take away from all of this or to add encouragement to others, it would be it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to admit those. It's actually a sign of strength to admit when you're wrong. It is not a weak factor. So, my encouragement to you is be okay with admitting being wrong and watch your character, strength, and courage just sail from there. And I feel these 10 things, because Lord, there's so many more, but these were like a lot for me in the burning department. It was like, they really need to happen. And they're critical in everyday situations, be them at home or at work. And, these are situations that we have to be in. We can't not go home. We can't not work. We have to engage and be around people. And we got to be in check first. We always want everybody else to do,
But they all
but it starts here.
but they all fall under the umbrella of respecting other people and having kindness be your first priority.
Yep. Yes, it does.
Having when people have no respect or regard for the people around them, and it shows, the energy is always bad.
Yep. Oh, I do have one nugget of encouragement that I want to touch on, because I think you might. We kind of talked about this one day. This one is especially for my empaths, because empathy and people who operate in empathy and are blessed or cursed, however you choose to see that gift, with feeling other people's situations and pains, it is not an excuse to be a doormat on no day. It's not self centered to have boundaries. It is not taking away from anyone to state what you need. And I feel that empaths struggle with these 10 things more than most people on the planet, because at the end of every feeling or thought, no matter how true it is, the next one for an empath is, but man, I just can't. The heart starts playing in. And we have got to, and I talk to myself when I say this, there's a lot of things we excuse out of the name of it being an empath, but all you are doing is adding to not just your turmoil, but the world's turmoil, because you are then telling those people or individuals or groups, hey, it's okay. It's not okay. It's not. And we as empaths have to find that line of operation where we can stand in the gray and not be pulled by our heart or our head, but we're ruling out of logic and feeling. We're weighing them both out, because the heart will get you in trouble. It will, because the heart does not ever want to tell someone no. The heart, it's full, it's abundant. It wants to love and be loved, but the brain knows that everybody is not going to receive it in the right way. Some people will receive it to run it in the ground.
Well, you can only love what really loves you. You really should only love what loves you.
True.
And they do everything you say, but their behavior toward you is caring and kind generally. And yeah, you can trust them to receive you in most situations. And they'll call you on it when you're not, right? They care enough about you to tell you.
Exactly. There's a fine line. So empaths, just know I'm holding space for you all, because it's a tough road for us. I know it is, because we always want to just be that warm, bubbly, kind. But there are some situations you have got to shut the emotions and feelings down, and you have just got to be logical, because you'll then in the next breath say, my friends are making fun of me, because you keep putting yourself in an insane situation. And it's not about to change. You could be the man on the moon with honey and silver flowing from your ass. It's not going to change that person. So I'm just saying, like, you have got to, like, who was it? You got to know when to hold them. Know when to fold them. You do. You do. So
you're right. You got to know when enough is enough. But once again, you got to know. You have to know what you want, and you have to want to know who you want to be and who you are.
Yes.
And that's the biggest one.
And I think when those come into play, when you know what you think or you know what you want to be, the rest of it starts falling into place, and you stop feeling guilty about not.
But and you should be glad that somebody thought enough to tell you. So.
Yep.
So you can be responsible for your own part. The only other thing I have is, if you're ever fisting somebody and they get ready to sneeze, don't pull your hand out.
I'm done. You are done. I'm done. You're cut off. Did you just say you'll break a finger? I'm done. And mic drop. Here with you today.
Oh yeah, that's it for today. That's all I got.
And that's all, folks.
That's the last pearl of wisdom. Okay, just in case you come across that situation, leave your hand in until the sneeze is over.
But contraction, y'all don't even understand how strong that contraction is. Oh, I can always.
Hey, knowledge is never wasted. You never know what's gonna happen.
The more you know. All right, Unc. I love you as always. It has been a pleasure. Thank you for sharing and caring enough to sit down with me today for all of the good people out there.
You have a wonderful week.
I will, you too. And until next time.
That's it.
All right. Bye, babe.